I just want to start first by expressing my appreciation for our City of Everett team. You all work tirelessly, and I'm proud to lead such a dedicated, qualified group of professionals. I also want to recognize our city labor organizations, including AFSCME, ATU, EPMA, EPOA, and Local 46. Your collaboration has been essential during this challenging budget process. And with the large-scale projects we are managing, I also want to acknowledge our additional outside labor partners such as LIUNA, Western States Regional Council of Carpenters, Snohomish County Labor Council, and others. The skilled workers you represent are building our city's future, and I value your contribution and partnership. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of serving in various leadership roles, from being the executive of a large nonprofit to sitting on national boards to serving alongside of many of you on Everett City Council, and now representing Everett as mayor for the past 7 years. Each of these experiences shaped my understanding of how to manage a large, complex organization and navigate tough financial decisions. Our city team and I take this responsibility seriously and remain committed to ensuring our city's financial stability. Tonight, I'm presenting my proposed 2025 budget, my 7th as mayor. I'll start with the General Government Fund, which is funded primarily by local tax dollars. Our structural deficit exists exclusively within this part of the budget. The General Government Fund supports most of the core public services our city provides, including police, fire, parks, libraries, our courts, animal shelter, emergency management, communications, community events, city planning, street maintenance, and more. I'll also cover non-general government fund, which includes departments and programs that operate essentially as separate businesses with their own restricted funding that cannot be used to close the deficit. Our city is legally required to develop and approve a balanced budget each year. Some other levels of government can run a deficit year to year, but cities cannot. Facing a $12.6 million deficit for 2025, we decided to seriously consider our revenue options as a way to avoid further budget cuts. This past summer, for the first time, we asked our community for sustainable revenue to protect public services. Though voters decided against the levy lid lift, their decision provided clarity. Our residents want to maintain current tax levels, which means discontinuing and reducing lines of work we know our residents benefit from, but we simply cannot afford. Everett is not unique in facing these budget challenges or asking the community for support. Every property tax-based entity in Washington is impacted by the state's 1% cap on property tax levy increases. You have likely seen this in the media recently, as local cities like Edmonds and several school districts discuss cuts, closures, and other serious actions. The state's cap, combined with inflation, causes an unavoidable deficit that requires constant evaluation and reductions. To overcome this cap, over 60 cities have gone to their voters for levy lid lifts. Likewise, our city has dealt with the deficit every year since 2001. Because of this, our options for cuts were extremely limited due to the number of reductions that we've already made over the years. Additionally, finding more than $12 million to cut is particularly difficult considering Everett is growing. Best serving our growing community actually warrants additions to our teams, not further reductions. So this was a real challenge. Building on the approach we've taken over the last 7 years, the team and I made strategic decisions that protect funding for our most essential services. Tonight, I'm not only presenting a balanced budget, but one that takes us beyond 2025 and reduces another $10 million from the 2026 deficit. However, I must also acknowledge that factors beyond our control could impact us in the near future. Initiative 2117 on the November ballot could strip Everett Transit of millions in funding. Additionally, a pending state Supreme Court decision may lower public defender caseloads. This would require significantly more public defenders, which would drastically raise our public defense costs, further straining our general fund. Boeing and our local machinists are still in negotiations on a new contract, and we know that the last several years will have a financial impact on our city. Everett is a global aerospace and advanced manufacturing center with over 30,000 dedicated and hardworking Boeing workers and a robust supply chain. Boeing and its incredible workforce have a long-standing significant presence here, and I believe the company and the machinists will be able to come to an agreement that allows them to get back to what they do best, building the world's best airplanes. To prepare tonight's budget, my team and I spent a significant amount of time listening to our community's thoughts on potential reductions. I met with neighborhood leaders, our diversity advisory board, community partners, and many others. Over months of detailed deliberation, my executive directors, HR director, department heads, and our finance team and staff made informed suggestions to guide my decision-making process. I also received very thoughtful input from our council members, and through all these meetings, I consistently heard support for protecting the essentials. These conversations helped me develop a balanced proposed budget for 2025, reflecting these shared priorities: protecting and maintaining public safety, supporting a good quality of life, and strengthening our economy and infrastructure. Before I proceed, I want to remind our residents that the state's property tax cap only impacts our city's general fund, and despite the financial pressures, Everett continues to thrive. Our economy is strong, new businesses are opening, and housing development is up. We're seeing record years for construction and manufacturing, which have been a focus area for our team. These industries brought in nearly $2 million additional dollars of sales tax and B&O tax, contributing to our ability to create stronger and more vibrant communities. We're also seeing strong revenues for our enterprise funds, which are not part of our general fund. This ensures self-sustaining departments like golf, transit, and utilities can make the necessary investments in their facilities and equipment without support from our general fund tax dollars, which are of course limited by the state's 1% cap. For the 2025 budget, I identified opportunities for strategic changes to how we do business and serve our community, with an emphasis on maintaining core services. To address the city's deficit long-term, staffing reductions were essential. We've done this in the most thoughtful, strategic way possible, focusing on key departments using a combination of voluntary separations, layoffs, furloughs, elimination of certain vacant positions, and transfers. In total, 55 general fund positions will be impacted in conjunction with the operational changes included in this budget. This includes the elimination of 31 positions, 16 represented by AFSCME, 4 by other labor groups, and 11 appointed positions. We're also making partial reductions to 24 additional appointed roles, including mandatory furloughs within my executive team. Internal operations, including HR and external-facing teams like communications, will also see staffing reductions. These departments were already operating under tight constraints, and 2025 will be even more challenging. Our residents will sadly feel the impact of these staff reductions across many city services. However, the reductions proposed carefully balance our desire to maintain quality of life and the necessity of preserving our most critical services. I will go over some highlights. One of the most significant expenses is public safety, accounting for over half the general government budget. The importance of public safety was strongly reinforced in our community throughout our budget outreach process, and my proposed budget reflects this commitment. Every day, our first responders show up for us when we need them most, whether it's a car accident, a medical emergency, or something much worse. While administrative cuts in these departments will be felt, our emergency response capacity will be preserved. Thanks to grants and other non-general fund dollars, we've continued to invest in and expand public safety, including the Everett Police Department's new flock safety system and EMS's opioid withdrawal medication pilot program. As you may recall, we recently activated our first automated traffic safety cameras, and we've already seen a positive impact. These cameras encourage better driving behavior, which will make our streets safer. It's important to note that the small amount of revenue generated from citations is restricted and can only go towards program expenses, including municipal court-related costs and traffic safety investments. Another component of public safety is our community development team, which manages alternative response, including our social worker program. These services are crucial and impact the safety of our entire community, even if someone isn't directly receiving help. The fact is, our region is in the middle of a drug, mental health, and homelessness crisis. The related challenges are especially visible here in Everett as the county seat and the location of the jail, emergency room, and the majority of county services. To address these challenges, we focused on providing support to those who are struggling, balancing the need for compassion with accountability while also mitigating impacts to the community. For 2025, nearly 75% of the community development team's work will be delivered using grants or other outside sources. This grant-funded investment helps decrease the impact on the rest of our public safety system, lessening the burden on our first responders and saving taxpayer money. Another important component of our public safety system is the truly essential work done by our hardworking judges, municipal court staff, and prosecutors. They've faced growing workloads, especially with more felony charges being pushed down to local government due to inadequate resources and capacity at the county level. These charges come to our local courts to prosecute as gross misdemeanors. This is only one of the many unfunded mandates that impact our city budget. Unfunded mandates are unfortunately becoming more common, whether it's higher levels of government pushing work down to municipalities or new state laws that are passed that include requirements we must comply with, but without financial support for us, cities must find a way to continue to do the work. My proposed budget ensures we can continue to invest in and support this crucial work, even as we face increases in costs that are outside of our control, such as jail fees. Daily jail costs continue to rise as the care needs for inmates grow. Because of this, we've seen our jail budget significantly increase. I remain committed to ensuring adequate funding for our local justice system because of how crucial this work is, from holding those who commit crimes accountable to supporting rehabilitation and, most importantly, protecting victims of crime. This all factors into how safe our residents, workforce, and visitors feel here. Beyond safety, our residents look to us to support their quality of life. In our recent budget survey, we asked the public what city services and amenities they use most frequently, and our parks, recreation, and trails were mentioned most. Ensuring these public spaces remain available and accessible is important to our community, so we've made their care and maintenance our priority and are avoiding major cuts to protect this important work. Everett has 45 park properties, nearly 1,000 acres, and many miles of trails and walkways to maintain, and our team does an exceptional job with the limited resources we have. Preserving this requires other reductions, though, including the elimination of the ranger program. Sadly, this is a program we love, but as we've seen most of our surrounding jurisdictions do, they've discontinued park rangers to address their own budget constraints. This budget supports park investments, including replacing the Kiwanis Park Playground and the turf at Cash Park, which will be paid for using designated capital improvement dollars. These funds come to us from real estate excise tax and can only be used for permanent improvements to properties. While these dollars can't pay for staffing, they can help us ensure our park properties and facilities remain safe, quality public spaces for our community to enjoy. Our Everett Public Libraries are also an important part of our community. Due to budget constraints, there will be reductions in this important area of service to our community. The Library Board oversees the department's budget and will work with our library director to determine how best to utilize their limited resources. There will be reductions, but I'm advocating for equitable access. My priority for 2025 funding is that both library branches remain open, particularly our Evergreen branch, which is heavily utilized by our families on the south end of our city. Our community continues to enjoy Everett's robust year-round event schedule, and community events help activate our public spaces and attract thousands of visitors to spend time and money in our city. In recent years, we've supported our partners in developing and expanding their events. My proposed budget maintains some support for both community-led and city-hosted events, but the team will also pursue more outside funding to defer as much of these costs as possible. Another way we support healthy and safe communities is through our neighborhood associations. In previous years, I've had to make difficult cuts to neighborhoods, but I do believe we're making the most of the more limited resources we have, and my budget will ensure we can continue this in 2025. An area we will be focusing on next year is code enforcement, which will see some changes due to budget reductions, but also as we re-envision this work. We will be shifting to a more proactive approach rather than being primarily complaint-driven. This will help us identify issues earlier. A more proactive approach will better meet our reduced budget capacity, but still address the health and safety issues. Aside from quality of life, the city's work also focuses on strengthening and supporting our local economy. Everett is a growing city with so many economic opportunities and advantages. We're on a great trajectory, and the only way to make the most of the opportunities ahead is by planning and preparing now. With population growth on our horizon, I've made responsible public investments and changes to our permitting department, making it easier to build here. These investments have simplified our processes and expedited our reviews, and our proposed budget maintains this priority. Our non-general government operations are also an important part of economic growth, and these departments have their own separate funding sources that don't rely on property taxes. Everett Transit, which is primarily funded by state and federal grants plus sales tax, is on pace for ridership to surpass 1.7 million this year. Our drivers and the full transit team work hard to provide reliable and friendly service throughout our city 7 days a week, including most holidays, with 10 fixed routes and paratransit services. Access to public transportation is important for our community and environment, especially with light rail and population growth ahead, and I am grateful for the incredible service ET provides our residents. We also have 2 well-utilized golf courses here in Everett that are self-sustaining. The city has provided public access to golf for nearly 90 years, offering an affordable quality experience, including youth programs. And our courses bring in adequate revenues to fully fund their staffing, maintenance, and facility improvements. Additionally, Everett has an award-winning regional utility that provides water service not only to our city, but also the Tulalip tribes and 75% of Snohomish County. Our utility also responsibly manages storm and wastewater. This requires the operation and maintenance of vast and complex infrastructure, and all of this is funded by utility service fees, which can only be used within this department. The dollars paid towards water and sewer service are strategically reinvested in the long-term sustainability of our utility. These funds are currently paying for the replacement of Reservoir 3, which is an important piece of our forever infrastructure. Reservoir 3 has reached the end of its useful life, and this investment ensures reliable access to clean drinking water for nearly a third of water customers for the next century. For many other major infrastructure projects, we are relying heavily on state and federal grants to plan, design, and ultimately construct permanent improvements like bridges. In the next couple of weeks, we're breaking ground on the Edgewater Bridge replacement, which I know will be a challenge for commuters. It will be worth it, though. This bridge replacement will greatly improve safe travel between Everett and Mukilteo and ensure this crucial infrastructure is seismically sound. In the coming years, we're working on 2 other bridge projects. We are early in the planning phase of the North Broadway pedestrian bridge, which will better connect our college campuses and offer students a safer option for crossing Broadway. And we're also currently studying options for the Epic Bridge, which will create a new connection between Everett Avenue and Everett Point Industrial Center on the riverfront, activating this area for new business possibilities. Projects like these take years of planning, plus significant efforts to find funding. And I'm proud we've secured millions of dollars to keep these critical infrastructure projects moving forward. Major capital projects like bridges and new facilities can be transformative for a community, opening doors to new possibilities, encouraging investment, and shaping future opportunities. Over the past couple years, we've explored our options for developing a new outdoor multi-purpose stadium to serve as the home for our Everett Aqua Sox and a venue for fabulous concerts and other community events. After studying different possibilities, we narrowed it down to either renovating the current location or building on a site near downtown. The one thing we know for certain is that without a facility that meets major league standards, Everett would lose the Aqua Sox and the millions of dollars of economic impact the team brings to the city. We all, our council, our Snohomish County, the state, the Aqua Sox ownership, remain committed to seeing our team stay in Everett. While Major League put us in this position, we're looking at this like a transformational opportunity. Opportunities like this do not come around often, so I'm advocating for us to make the most of it. It's clear from the excitement we're already hearing that investments of this magnitude attract more investments. Innovative projects like this can inspire greater private investment in our community, creating jobs, attracting new businesses, encouraging more local tourism spending, and increasing housing availability. This stadium is exactly the kind of community-oriented investment our city needs to not only protect this beloved, affordable, family-friendly fun, but also support economic growth for generations to come. The state recently approved our progressive design build application, which will help us meet tight deadlines, and the Fiscal Advisory Committee is finalizing funding options to bring to our council for your consideration by the end of the year. I want to emphasize that construction of this facility is not reliant on general government funding, but we do expect positive impacts to our general fund in the future through increased tax revenues, one of the key benefits of this project. In the coming months, my team and I look forward to sharing more about this incredible opportunity for our city. Looking to our future, there is a lot to be excited about and many great things on the horizon. The general fund challenges we're experiencing are unfortunately common, impacting nearly all property tax reliant entities. That includes cities, counties, fire districts, and our public schools. These challenges are symptoms of larger issues related to how public services are funded in the state of Washington. But we live in a very dynamic city with compassionate and hardworking residents and a thriving, diverse economy. Everett is strong. We are strong with new businesses opening, industries expanding, booming development, and so many good things to come. And our City of Everett team stand ready to continue serving our community. As I wrap up, I'd like to take a moment to thank our council members. You have again been an exceptional and collaborative team to work with, and I very much appreciate your input on my proposed budget and respect the work that you have ahead to finalize the 2025 budget. I'd also like to give a very special thank you to our senior executive directors, Lori Cummings and Dan Templeman. Leading a city that runs over 30 different lines of businesses as we do requires experienced leadership, and I'm very grateful to have you both on my team. I'd also like to thank Candy Bartlett and our HR team for working in partnership with our unions on this difficult budget. And of course, thank you to our Finance Director, Heidi Brillantes, and Assistant Finance Director, Jamie Lee Graves, and the entire budget team. You have done a fantastic job throughout this process, and I appreciate your perspective and all your hard work. I look forward to another year of rolling up our sleeves and getting to work for the people of Everett. Thank you.